Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. I'm Hafsa Kumadik and I'm going to discuss to you the last part of our report, which is controlling and auditing the CDLC. So in this chapter, we have reviewed the highly technical and the complex process that they constitute the CDLC. So before proceeding, it is successful to place with the material and the perspective with regard to the audit perspective. Objectives. So, simply stated, the purpose of a financial audit is to provide an expert opinion regarding in the fair presentation of the financial statement. So, this chapter, the accuracy and the integrity of these programs directly affect the accuracy of the client's financial data. So, a materially flawed financial application can corrupt financial data, which are then incorrectly reported in the financial statement. So if the auditor can verify and these process are effectively controlled, then he or she can limit the extent of the application testing needs to be done. And if, however, the audit evidence shows the CDLC controls to be weak and inconsistently applied, the application testing and the substantive testing cannot be reduced. In some situation, it may be necessary to fund and scope the audit. With this perspective in place, let's now examine the controls, the audit objectives, and the procedure related to these important processes. So now we are here in controlling new system development. So the first five controllable activities discussed next deal with the authorization development and the implementation of the original system, and the last two controllable activities pertain to system maintenance and procedures. So we have the systems authorization activities. All systems must be properly authorized to ensure their economic justification and feasibility, as with their material transaction. Authorizing the development of new information system should be formal step in the process. So typically this requires that each new system request be submitted in a written by user to the system professional who have both the expertise and the authority to evaluate and approve or to reject the request. The next one is the user specification activities. So user must be actively involved in the system development process. Their involvement should not be stifled because the proposed system is technically complex. So regardless of the technology involved, the user should provide a detailed written description of the logical needs that must be satisfied by the system. The next one is the technical design activities. So these design activities translate the user specification into a set detailed technical specification na system that meets the user's needs. So kailangan ma-meet niya yung needs ng mga users. So the last one is the internal audit participation. So the internal audit participation, the internal audit plays in the important role of control system development activities. So particularly in the organization and the technical expertise. So the internal auditor can serve as the between the users and the system. So a system professional to ensure the auditor can to ensure the effectiveness and the transfer of knowledge. So an internal audit group studied to computer technology and with a solid grasp of the business problem users can make a valuable contribution in all aspects of the CLDC process. So here we have the user test and the acceptance procedure. So just before implementation, the individual modules of the system must be tested as the unified whole. A test team comprising user personnel, system professional, and the internal audit personnel. So, subject to the system to reduce testing, once the test team is satisfied with the system meets its stated requirements, by the system so the system is formally accepted the users of department. So pag yung test team is okay na, satisfied na sila doon sa system at na-meet naman yung sinabing requirements, then the system is formally accepted by the users department. So the formal testing and the acceptance of the system by the user is considered by the auditors to be the most important in control over the CDLC. So, pag yung formal testing at saka pag na-accept na siya ng user, so yan yung pinaka-vital or pinaka-important na part or control over ng CDLC. This is the last point, which is the user can determine the system adequately meets her needs. So, dyan mo na makikita, ito na yung part na masasabi mo na, okay, na-meet na pala yung requirement na sinabi. So, syempre, that's the last part. So, dyan mo na masasabi na successful or andun na. So, although the discovering major of the flaws of juncture can be costly, discovering the flaw later during the operation can be devastating. Pag hindi mo siya na-discover sa simula pa lang or doon mo na siya na meet sa later on, then it could be a devastating, diba? Parang, bakit? Okay. So, the user's acceptance of the new system should be formally documented. So, here, makita natin dito sa next slide is yung audit objective related to the new system development and the audit procedure related to the new system development. So, sa audit related new system development is yung first one is the verily that CDLC activities are applied consistently and in accordance with the management policies. And the next one is the determine that the system is as originally implemented was free from the material errors and fraud. The next one is confirming that the system was judged to necessary and justified at the various checkpoints throughout the CDLC. So, kailangan they are judged and necessarily justified. May every checkpoint, they must go through lahat ng checkpoint ng CDLC. Verily that the system, next one, verily that system documentation is sufficient, accurate, and complete to facilitate audit maintenance and activities. So, the next one is yung sa audit procedure related to the new system development. The first one is user and computer service management properly authorize the project. Siyempre. Next one, a parliamentary feasibility study showed that the project had a merit. So, andyan na yan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, the last one naman is yung system documentation companies with organization requirements and the standard. So, yan na yung pinag-uusapan natin sa system development. So, ngayon, dito naman tayo sa controlling system maintenance. So, the last two controllable activities pertain to system maintenance. Upon the implementation of the system, enters the maintenance phase of the CDLC. So, this is the longest period in the CDLC, often spanning several years. So, ito na yung part na pinakamahaba. It could take several years. It is important to recognize that systems do not remain static through this period. Rather, they may undergo substantial changes and constitute the financial outlay many times the original cost. So, in this section, we will see how uncontrolled program changes can increase the firm's exposure. So, the financial misstatement due to the programming errors, and some programming errors are subtle, resulting to the creation and distribution of the incorrect information that goes undetected by the user. So, other forms of errors are more apparent and result in a system failure, and that can disrupt the data process, even bring the operation halt in. So, in addition with that, this exposure, yung sinabi ko kanina, the program phone may take a root the environment poorly controlled maintenance that can go undetected for years. So, first, ano din tayo sa maintenance authorization testing, and document. So, the benefits of achieved from controlling new system development can be quickly lost during this system maintenance if control does not continue into that phase. So, pag hindi tayo nagpatuloy in that phase, then maybe we can lose the new system maintenance along the way. So, access to system for maintenance purpose increase the possibility of system errors. So, logically may be corrupted either by accident, introduction of errors, or intentional to the fraud. Next one is the source program library control. So, in spite of the preceding maintenance procedure, application integrity can be jeopardized by the individual who gain unauthorized access to the program. So, kailangan the application must be secured. The remainder of this section deals with the control techniques and procedure for preventing and detecting the unauthorized access application program. So, to execute a production application, it must first be complied and linked to create a load module that the computer can process. Kailangan kaya ng ating computer. As the practical matter, the load module are secured and free from the threat and authorized modification. So, program changes, both theorized and maintenance and authorized changes, are complied by the first making changes to create a new module and the accompanying change code. So, therefore, this SPL is sensitive error. So, the SPL is a sensitive error which to preserve application integrity must be properly controlled. So, since the SPL is a sensitive error, yung application integrity should be properly controlled. So, ano naman yung the worst case situation, no controls, makikita natin sa figure 5.12 na SPL without controls. This arrangement has the potential to create the following two serious form of exposure. So, dito sa figure na to, makikita natin that is a sample of the no controls na SPL na walang control. So, figure 5.2. So, number 1, access to program is completely unrestricted. Programmers and others can access the program stored in the library. So, parang hindi siya restricted sa others. Like, you can access it kahit hindi ka ano. So, and there is no provision for detecting annual authorized intrusion. So, walang nagde-detect if someone access it na hindi belong sa authorization. And the next one, because of this control weakness, the programs are subject to unauthorized changes. So, there is no basis for relying on the effectiveness of other controls. So, in other words, with no provision for detecting the unauthorized access to the SPL program, integrity can be verified. So, control is always complex with the operational flexibility and efficiency. For this are reasons systems professionals who must work daily within the environment and sometimes oppose the controlling the SPL. So, to achieve a mutual acceptable controlling flexibility or control flexibility trade-off between the needs of the system of professional and auditors, both must understand the exposure that are created when the control features are not employed or routinely circumvented. In spite of the exposure just described, the non-control approach is often the choice that management makes. So now we are here at a control SPL environment. So to control the SPL protective features and the procedure must be explicitly addressed. And this requires a implementation of SPL management system. Yan yung SPMLS. Sa figure 5.13, it illustrates the use of this technique, yung SPMLs. The black box surrounding the SPL signifies The SPMLs, this software is used to control for four routine but critical function. The first one is the storing programs on the SPL. The next one is the retrieving programs for the maintenance purposes. Then the third one is deleting obsolete programs from the library. And the last one is documenting program changes to provide an audit trail of the changes. So you may have recognized the similarities between SPL management system and the database management system. So this is valid analogy. The difference being that SPL software management programs file with DBMS. Yan yung difference nila. Yung SPL software managed program manage data files. Then SPMLs may be supplied. So kita natin yung figure 5.13. So by the computer manufacturer as by the operating system of the purchased through software vendors, some organizations to provide a spatial control feature develop their own SPL software. So the mere presence of SPMLs does not guarantee program integrity. Hindi porket may SPMLs ka na is okay na. No, it does not guarantee a program integrity. Again, we can draw an analogy with DBMS. To achieve data integrity, the BMS must be properly used. So, the control does not come automatically. So, it must be planned. So, diba? Like an SPL requires specific planning and control techniques to ensure program integrity. The control technique discussed in the following paragraphs addressed only the most vulnerable areas should be considered a minimum control. So, first one is the password control. So, assigning password provides one of the access control over the SPL. This is similar to password control used in the BMS. So, yes, assigning password control. Next one is separate test libraries. Under this concept, the programs are copied into the programs library for the maintenance and testing. The next one is the audit trail and management reports. So, and the next one is the program version numbers and the controlling access to maintenance command. So, this one is yung SPL management system use the powerful maintenance commands to alter or eliminate the program passwords. So, by altering the program version or modification number, the temporary modify a program without generating the record in the modification. So, makita natin sa next slide yung figure 5.14. So, this figure will be discussed through the next slides, yung the audit objective related to this system. So, detect the unauthorized program maintenance which may have resulted in significant processing errors or fraud. So, determine that the maintenance procedure protect application from unauthorized changes. The next one is yung determine that the application are free from the material errors. And the last one is determine that the program libraries are protected from the unauthorized access. We will examine each of these objectives in turn. So, focusing on the task control that are necessary to achieve the object. That is, discussion will assume that the organization employs source program library, the SPL, software to control the program maintenance. It should be noted that without SPL software, it can be difficult to achieve these audit objectives. So, take note ha, without this software, itong SPL, we cannot achieve the objectives. So, the procedure described below, and at the figure 5.14. So, the audit procedure related to the system, first one is to identify the unauthorized changes. To establish the program changes were authorized, the auditor should examine the audit trail of program changes for the sample application of the undergone maintenance. So, The auditor can confirm the auditory procedure were followed by performing the following test control. First one is to reconcile the program version number. The next one is confirm the maintenance authorization. And the next one is, under the audit procedure related to system maintenance, is to identify the application errors. The auditors can determine the programs are free from material errors by performing 3 types of controls. It is to reconcile the source code, reviewing the test results, and to retesting the program. So, the auditor can determine the program na wala siyang error, it is free from error by performing these 3. And the next one under also sa auditing procedure related to system is to test access to libraries. The existence of the secure program library is central to preventing errors and program fraud. One method is to assign the library access right exclusively to individuals who act as librarians. So yan, para hindi siya accessible by everyone, so kailangan mag-assign ka ng isang individual who act as a librarian. So, review the program authorized tables and to test the authority table. So, yan lang po yung sa controlling and auditing the SDLC. Hope you understand and marami po tayong natutunan sa topic na ito. So, we're now done with our report. So, here is a little summary para mas maintindihan po natin ang aming report. So one of the most valuable asset of the modern business organization is a responsive and user-oriented information system. Kahit sinong tanungin mo nowadays, yan yung pinaka-valuable na thing ng isang, one of the most valuable thing ng isang organization. Lalo na if it is modernized na organization. A well-designed system can increase productivity, reduce inventories, and eliminate the non-value added activities. Mas mapapadali nito ang ating pamamalakad or pag-run ng isang organization. It can improve the customer service and management decision and coordinate the activities throughout the organization. So this chapter examined the purpose, the control, and the audits of system development life cycle. So it began by describing the roles of the participant involved in system development, including the system professional, users, and stakeholders. Then it outlined the key of activities associated with CDLC. This process consists of 2 primary set activities: new system development and maintenance. The former which is used to guide the development of information system, and many organizations include system planning, system analysis, conceptual design, system selection, detailed designs, system programming and testing, and system implementation. And properly functioning system development process ensures that the only needed applications are created, that they are properly specified, and that they are possess adequate controls, and that they are truly tested before being implemented. So upon the implementation, new system enter the system maintenance phase, where they remain until the they remain until they are terminated and ultimately replaced. So the system maintenance process ensure the only legitimate changes are made to application, and the such changes are also tested before being implemented. So the system development and the maintenance process is common to all the application application. So together they are established an occurrence of new application and preserve their integrity throughout the period under review. So the auditor's objective in testing controls over this process is To establish application integrity and thus limit the test application controls and substantive testing to needs to be done. Substantive testing that needs to be done. So, once again, this is Hapsa Kumadig, and I hope all of you are doing well. Keep safe, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.